WSTM TV, Syracuse. And now, the Channel 3 News Election Night Report with Tom Miller, Francis Gross, meteorologist Wayne Mahar, and Roger Springfield on sports.
Good evening. At this hour, it is still too close to call. The 27th Congressional District race between George Wortley and Rosemary Pooler, still a very hot race, 99% of the vote in. Let's check the totals now. There you see them, 99% reporting. Rosemary Pooler with 80,324, and for the first time this evening, George Wortley pulls ahead, Francis.
Yeah, the Republican incumbent showing just 49% of the vote, but he has about a 200 or so vote margin. It's amazing. This has been going nip and tuck all night. Nobody has pulled ahead, and they're just going right down to the wire, and you see the Right to Life candidate with just 1%. We're going to go out now to Jackie Robinson, who is at Pooler headquarters.
And getting more votes than the other guy.
Until tomorrow sometime in the next couple of days. Let's take a listen at what Rosemary is saying to the crowd.
And now I want to suggest that we all have a party, and if it has to go on for 3 days, so be it! To the members of the press who've been waiting to talk to us, I'm going to work my way through the crowd and see you in a moment. Okay? Okay, thank you all!
As you just heard, Rosemary is going to come down and try and talk to us, and we'd like to talk to her live. She has said to the crowd, "Are we having fun yet?" And they yelled back, "Of course we are." She said that, for one thing for sure, they're going to go to bed with a lead, and someone yelled from the crowd, "And we're going to wake up with a lead." So we're going to talk to Rosemary live in just a moment, but first let's go to Ron Hastings.
This is Ron Hastings at Wortley headquarters. The mood here has suddenly turned very upbeat with that last-minute result, a 300-vote edge for George Wortley. Now, let me tell you what may happen with the absentee ballots. About 5,000 out. They expect 85% to come back. That would put absentee ballots at about 4,000. Now, normally they break 60-40 Republican. If that happens, that would give George Wortley 2,400 votes, Rosemary Pooler 1,600 votes, a 1,200 vote bulge for Wortley. On top of the 300 vote edge he has now would give him 1,500 votes. That's less than 1% and certainly worth a recount. Now, those absentee ballots will not come in until, well, they'll count some of them tonight, but they'll hold the ballot until the 11th, when all the absentee ballots postmarked today have 1 week to come in. Then they'll count them. But remember in the Hennessy race for district attorney several years ago, he got 70% of the absentee ballots, and that pushed him over the top. Remember the Hoffman race in the state Senate 2 years ago. Her absentee ballots broke just about 50-50. So it's not a certainty, but generally speaking, absentee ballots break 60-40 Republican. George Wortley has not showed up here yet, but he's expected to shortly. Now back to the anchor desk, Francis and Tom.
Okay, Ron, thank you. We do have yet another round of new figures in the 27th Congressional District race. It's been too close to call all evening. Now finally beginning to seesaw back and forth. Now 100% of the district's reporting, and now Rosemary Pooler is back in the lead, even though the percentages don't reflect that. She now has 80,000. I beg your pardon. The percentages are correct. Wortley, 81,165, and Pooler, 80,773. And as Ron said, if the absentee ballots hold up, then Wortley will come out victorious and will win a 4th term in the Congress. But again, it will be days before we know for sure.
Does history repeat itself? We might be finding out. Just a short 2 years ago, 48th District Senate seat, Nancy Lorraine Hoffman had the same kind of situation. The end of the night, we had to wait for the absentee ballots, but she is not going to be repeating that scenario tonight. She has a very substantial lead with 99% of the vote, the district's reporting. We have a 59% lead for Nancy Lorraine Hoffman. Doreen Bianchi with 39% of the vote, the Canastota Republican. Jim Kenyon was with Nancy Lorraine Hoffman at her headquarters tonight, and he has this report for us now.
When Senator Nancy Lorraine Hoffman arrived at Nikki's restaurant with her family this evening, the early election results were already telling the story. She was easily winning re-election to her second term.
Congratulations, we knew it, so we got a card.
These are the folks that make it happen. You know how hard they work. These are real political organizers now. Wow.
From the day she was elected 2 years ago, State Senator Nancy Lorraine Hoffman immediately became a target for the state Republican Party. Now that she's won re-election, she feels this sends a message to the state GOP.
But I want to make sure I get the best job done for my district and for the people I represent, and I'm going to continue working in agriculture. I understand that at various times in this campaign, my opponent told people that I was spending too much time with the farmers, and I think that could have been one of the biggest single mistakes she made, because there's no way you can spend too much time with farmers after what they've been subjected to over the last few years.
Apparently, Hoffman was able to draw voters from throughout the entire district, in Syracuse and Onondaga County, Madison, and Oneida counties as well. It's a victory that she hopes will allow her to work more effectively with a Republican-controlled state Senate. Jim Kenyon, Channel 3 News.
Canastota businesswoman Doreen Bianchi conceded defeat to Hoffman just a few minutes ago, and Channel 3's Elizabeth Franny has our report.
Bianchi remained confident until the end. She faced an uphill battle all the way and put up a strong fight for a newcomer. She says she's not out of politics yet.
And we'll go on from there, but I don't have any specifics that I wish to discuss this evening.
Okay. If it gets down to, like, the last few percentage points, will you want to hold out to all the absentees that are in and all that? Or?
Well, I think we better wait and see what happens and see how close it is.
Republicans are disappointed. They'd hoped to recapture the 48th Senate seat lost by Marty Auer 2 years ago to Hoffman. Elizabeth Franny, Channel 3 News.
Thank you, Elizabeth. George Wortley, at this point in the 27th Congressional District race, holding on to a slim margin at last count over Rosemary Pooler. We'll go back now to Wortley headquarters with Ron Hastings for the latest. Ron?
George Wortley has just come into his victory celebration here. Let's go to the podium, and here's what he has to say.
No. Wait a minute.
Get in and Betsy up here.
I got to get my girls up here. You can't beat these Wortley girls. You've probably just participated in one of the most historic congressional races that's ever been held. It's nice. Sometimes it's nice not to claim victory too early. Sometimes it's a little premature. But we're prepared to claim victory right now. You know what? It's better. Now, gang, I'll tell you what. It isn't all over yet, but we are up by 392 votes, and every vote that's now in Onondaga and Madison County has been counted, with the exception of the absentee military votes. And another great Republican needed some of those a couple of years ago, and that was Dick Hennessy. And he got, they broke out pretty good for him, and ours are going to break out